welcome to Rumblings with Savannah. Anyways, so today we film from the road with Wingy in the backseat. Heading back home, and I have a good 2.5 hours to go. And I was listening to the Shits and Gigs podcast on my way home. So first off, let me say, if this in any way has any copyright infringement, my apologies, and please be nice to me and I'll figure out a way to take this down. But the reason why I was going to talk about today's episode was not even because of anything, but like they've been doing this Dr. McAllister thing that I think they found on Yelp. Can't remember where they found it, but it'll come to me eventually before I end this recording. But apparently one of their people, one of their audience suggested it, and it was like, there's this, my bad, sorry, Reddit. Yes, there's this Reddit thread that had these stories that people put up there, and so they picked one up there to read during their segments. Anyway, so the one they chose to start with is how I became a captured god for 10 years. I'm paraphrasing, that probably is exact or not, I can't remember, but somewhere along the lines of that. And so they've been doing it. He's read it out like 3 times now, but it's been over the span of time just because things have been happening. They've traveled, they've had guests, and Rem has been gone for a while, so they've not really been able to be consistent with it on a week-to-week basis, which is fine. But I think when it started out, it was supposed to be like, the story is true, like it really did happen to someone really was captured for 10 years. But the more they read it, the more it kind of seems more like maybe it's someone's story that they are writing. Maybe it happened, but they took some creative liberties to it, because there are aspects of the story that doesn't quite add up to me, and I think it's just because I'm a critical person. But fuck that, don't mind me. I'm just skeptical. So maybe don't mind. Anyways, and it's mostly, so let's take it this way. Like, let's take medical shows, right? If you're a healthcare worker, when you're watching a medical show and they're having a code situation and they're going, heartbeat 60/70, and you're going, what heartbeat is 60/70? That makes no sense, right? And there's a lot of like things they do that you're like, yeah, that does not happen in real life, Like, for instance, I chose my whole career based on the fact that I thought I would run into a McDreamy or McSteamy, and it wasn't because I wanted to like fall in love or marry a McDreamy or McSteamy. It's just I wanted to have an eye candy at work, right? I based my whole life on that, based on Grey's Anatomy, and became a nurse. One might think, if that's the reason, why didn't you become a doctor? Because I hate studying for the life of me, and also I don't think I have the head for a doctor. You know what I mean? And by that I mean I don't think I'm that smart. Also, there's the issue of organic chemistry and chemistry in general that I hate. Anyways, that's a digression. Anyways, so during the McAllister story, my mind was working in a way that I kind of took it as a case study, and the case study had to do more so with how did McAllister prevent bed sores, and how did he manage to reduce the risk of contraction after 10 years of keeping someone bound in the same position, right? Also, there's the issue of how did he manage any comorbidities that might have come up, because for 10 years this guy didn't get a cold. With the amount of people who were coming in and out, he didn't get an infection, he didn't get sick. How was Dr. McAllister dealing with those hurdles that came up? Much like any drug that you take, the side effects, long-term use of sedatives takes a toll on your body. Sedatives in itself depress your system to a large extent. When you take a sedative, your whole body slows down. It's the reason why when people come out from under anesthesia, we don't feed you right away. We wait for your system to wake up and all that before we start giving you food and all that, right? How is McAllister sedating this guy without monitoring certain vital signs? And what is he sedating with? Because certain medications, after you take them for a long time, affect your heart. Your liver does most of the metabolism of drugs. It can take a toll on your liver. Your kidneys help with the excretion of certain toxins. You can also damage the kidneys with long-term use of certain drugs. And it seems as though McAllister was just rotating through different kinds of drugs and different kinds of stuff, right? Which is making me, how did he do it, right? Then the biggest thing for me is the bed sores. People can develop bed sores out of just weeks or just out of a couple of days of just staying in the same position. So is McAllister following evidence-based practice and turning this guy every 2 hours in order to prevent that from happening? And if that's the case, I feel as though McAllister needs to be given a little credit for the fact that he actually did try to make sure he kept this guy in good condition. He actually anticipated the needs of this guy well enough to actually even consider his skin. I know. Then there's the issue of, I feel as though if McAllister actually succeeded in doing this for 10 years, fuck the fact that he actually kept someone bound for 10 years. I feel as though, I mean obviously no, fuck it, that's a bit fucked up, but I feel as though we should try to have a case study or forum, sitting McAllister down and talking to him and figuring out how he did it. Like, for instance, how did he manage to keep this guy from not having all these things? Like, if he wasn't rotating this guy every 2 hours, then it means McAllister actually put in the work into making sure he got one of those fancy ICU beds that actually rotates you and keeps you. Was he using a waffle mattress, or was he using an air mattress, or what was he doing to minimize the risk of this guy developing bed sores, right? Because as a healthcare worker, I feel as though that's one of the hurdles that we run into. Even family members who try to do it themselves at home, it's very, very hard to keep that kind of routine every 2 hours. If McAllister has come up with a way that, bypasses that way, dude, we need to be exploring this for the sake of our patients, right? Which is crazy, because I didn't know I loved my field this much. I'm seeing this stuff and I'm going through all of this whilst I'm listening to a podcast and going, fuck, I actually love my job, and I thought I was doing this just to see cute doctors. Anyways, there is that. Then there's the issue of contraction. Actually, before we go to contraction, let's go to the issue of clots, DVTs. Hospitals give patients heparin, low-dose heparin shots or Lovenox shots to prevent the risk of blood clots. Because evidence-based practice has showed us that if you are stagnant long enough, your blood pools. The assumption is when you're in a hospital, you don't move around as well as you would if you were at home. If you stay in one place long enough, just much like how things pool, your blood pools, and before you know, you develop clots. Clots are not good, obviously, because if you have a clot somewhere, it probably is going to block the circulation to your heart or to other parts of your body. So we give you low doses of heparin to prevent that. How is McAllister addressing that? What was he doing to prevent this guy from getting blood clots, right? And then let's say I mean, again, the only way, again, so that there's that hurdle, and then there's the other hurdle of how did he prevent this guy from contracting? Because again, when we have patients, we've been taught to do passive or active range of motion exercises. So we move your arm, we abduct, oh boy, I've forgotten the word. We abduct. You know what? I don't remember it. So let's move on. You're supposed to like move the muscles so that because if you don't do that, what tends to happen is that the muscles contract. The people will contract in whatever shape or whatever way you have them bound, right? It's like the same case in which when they find mummies and stuff like that, you see how they are contracted in that shape. You know, when you're not moving certain limbs in a particular way, they just freeze. The muscle like contracts literally in that shape. I'm saying, forget about this guy being a god. Maybe he really is a god if nothing happened to him like that, right? He really is a medical marvel. Either that or McAllister has some kind of geniusness and actually was that attentive. In which case, oh my God, do you know the amount of people with loved ones that they have to take up and they still get a bit burned out? And these are people they love. There's no way but to get burned out when you're doing certain things. And McAllister committed for 10 years. Dude, let's give him a little credit, you know? Anyways, so yeah, these are the things that went through my mind. And I don't know how the story ends. I can't wait till the next time they read it so we see what happened. Apparently we're on this cliffhanger right now where apparently things get worse. Can you imagine? Things now get worse. He's been bound for a couple of years now. He managed to escape at some point, which means his limbs are working perfectly. He doesn't have a pressure injury. I'm finding this I'm like mind blown by this by now. You know what I'm saying? So I am glued to my seat. So I wonder if there are other medical professionals that are actually listening to this. I wonder if your mind wandered the way mine did when they were telling the story. Did you think about these things, and what do you think about my craziness, I guess? But all round excited about the McAllister story. Can't wait to see more of it and see how that goes. I wonder if somewhere along the road we know how the guy is doing now, and does he have some, you know, other than psychological scars, are there physical impediments that have been developed from this long-term bondage? Yeah, that's about it. And hi to the guys in shits and gigs. I love you guys. I don't know why I said that. I barely love anyone. So I like you guys. I think you guys are incredibly interesting. I love the shirts and the whole anime thing. That I can say with confidence is love. Fuhad had a shirt with Gon and Killua that I'm obsessed with. I've been still